Good evening, everyone. Sonia here from Sterling Results Fitness Club, coming to you live from Facebook and Zoom. Now, I think many of you have been using Zoom now because we've all gone virtual. So if you were an office worker or are an office worker, many of you might be working from home and using Zoom. Give me a thumbs up if that's the case. And also, if you're you're familiar with Zoom, maybe because you've been joining my fitness classes and we're using Zoom there. Or as my family did today, they had a catch up and did Zoom for their family catch up. So let us know if you're on board. Give me a thumbs up, give me a wave. We'd love to see you tonight. And I'm just about to introduce, and here she comes online, our lovely Ange Sinclair. So everyone, Sonia from Sterling Results Fitness Club. As you know, we have Staying Healthy conversations every night. Let's give a wave, first of all, to Ange, seeing as she's popped up on your screen. I'm just watching this on two screens to check that you can all see that. Ange, how are you?
I'm good, Sonia. How are you going?
Yeah, great. Look, we've only just started, as in dead on 6 o'clock. So I'm just going to talk a little bit here and introduce the crowd and whatever else. But it's great to have you on board. So everyone, we have Sunday night Staying Healthy conversations, and we've spent a lot of time talking about a whole range of different topics. And in fact, today, if you caught me on my personal page, you might be able to catch up on that. I had a hike out this morning and I talked a little bit about mental health, because it's so important now that we've lost that social engagement we've been doing to really focus and think about how we're coping and how we're managing in terms of our mental health. One of the things I know can happen to us easily, we get cooped up inside and we're really not doing too much activity, and our kids are with us and our husbands are with us and our partners are with us, and you can probably get a little bit grumpy, a little bit irate, and sometimes say things that you don't mean to say. So, you need to make sure you're looking at your mental health and getting out every day. And you've been getting out every day?
I have pretty much every day, as much as often as I can, because I totally agree.
Or something like that?
Yep, absolutely, every day. And if not going out for a walk, going outside to get some sun.
Yeah. Well, that vitamin D is so vital. But, we're just walking a couple of kilometres, because in the old days, last week, you might have gone to work and you would have walked to the train station and walked up to the office. You would have went for lunch. So many things, walk down to a cafe. There's so many things that you do in your day, in a normal day, that may be now completely different because you're trying to protect your family, you're trying to protect the community, and you are staying at home and really not going out. I was saying this morning that most of the walking you're probably doing now is from the bedroom to the bathroom to the kitchen to the study, and that's about it. You're not actually leaving your home as much as you used to, because you go from the house to the office, and the office is where your now work is, and that is 2 doors away in your study. So important to get off the lounge and get out there. Could you give us some comments, anyone, about what you're doing? So don't forget, we love to see your comments throughout tonight. So what have you been doing to maintain your mental health? Are you going out buying a coffee every day just so you can get some fresh air and socialise? And also to support local business. So a lot of small businesses are really struggling now because they have some bricks and mortar they're paying for, but they've lost all their clientele. So really do encourage you to support your local businesses. Buy a takeaway dinner, buy a takeaway coffee, do something that puts money back into small business. Ange, do you have any thoughts on that? How do you feel about what's happening with small business?
I think it's pretty important that we do that too, but I also in and around that, I think it's good to stay at home and be away from people as much as you can. I think that's really important for us all now. And as you know, the quicker we flatten the curve, the quicker we can all go back to daily life. So that's sort of my thought on it at the minute. But I also think you need to be not so much social distancing, but being away from people, but being connected more than ever on whatever you can be, phone, internet, Instagram, Facebook, whatever your platform of choice is. I think it's really important to be getting out there and doing that every day.
Having some communication with someone else besides yourself.
Communication, yeah.
Yeah. Look, everyone, this is Ange Sinclair. She's one of Sydney's renowned naturopath, and her focus is on the gut. So her business is called the Digestive Detective. It's actually here in the Lower North Shore in Crow's Nest, but she does a lot of work globally because she does a lot of Skype calls with her clients and talks to people all over the globe. But Ange, how do you describe your business? You've got a really good way of describing your business and what you do.
So as a naturopath, I help women purge the pain, beat the bloat, and get to the root cause of their digestive issues. And by educating and empowering everyone to become their own digestive detective. And by that, I mean teaching you the steps how to do it. So you're not reliant onto anybody else, and that you can know when your gut's off and know how to fix it to get back onto fixing it. So that's my ultimate aim, that you don't have to be coming to see me as the digestive detective, that you become your own digestive detective is what I'm after for everybody.
Yep, so learning more about your own internal systems and how it responds.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
I see a lot of people here at the gym who have real tummy issues, you know, and I've said quite a few of them to you as well, but they have real tummy issues, and, you know, it's quite hard to work out what is causing that. You know, is it a food allergy? Is it, well, probably a lot to do with food, but maybe some imbalances over your life that you've got, maybe drugs you're taking, etc. So, you know, there's a large number of the community that actually have gut issues. Would you agree?
Totally. And for all those reasons and many more that you've just talked about. And it's interesting because people say, well, shouldn't it be easy if you know? Well, there's at least 15 reasons that people are constipated. So, you know, it's like trying to pick a needle in a haystack at the outset. You really have to do some detective work to get to the bottom of everything. So it's not as easy as it looks.
No. Look, I got one client, and it's a bit like, how much do you go off and what do you start putting back on, and where is the problem? And it's just so heartbreaking for them when their tummy's playing up, which means everything else is playing up. Weight, you know, it's hard to lose weight. You're doing everything in the gym, you're dieting, you're doing all the right things, but even the dieting is actually going against what your body is trying to do. So
absolutely.
Some real trickies. So ladies and gentlemen, on tonight's Staying Home Conversation, Ange and I decided that we'd like to cover off boosting your immune system is what we called it, boosting your immune system. And we decided that's a really good topic tonight because one is we are in coronavirus crises. And so you really want a great immune system. But two is we're now in autumn, we're moving into winter, and even if you're nice and safe and you don't think you'll ever get affected, but it's a measles, so you will, what else? You're going to get affected by the flu and other things. So you probably want a decent immune system. And Ange has got some great little tips on that. So just before we start, Ange, and I'm going to let you take the floor, actually, if you don't mind, just to have the conversation with the audience. Like we do every Sunday night, please send through your questions. Now, because we're doing this through Zoom, I have my phone, my iPad, and my computer going. Yes, multi-technical here. Because normally it's my iPad and I can see you type up there straight away, but I can't sit on my big screen because that's Zoom. So I'm down here on my iPad in Facebook checking what I'm checking. So let's hope I don't miss any of your typing. But don't forget, give us a thumbs up, give us a hello, give us a love, especially for Ange. If you say something you really love, give us a love heart. We'd love to see that. And type some of your questions in and we'll get to those as the conversation starts. But boosting your immune system, Ange. Give us some of your thoughts on this, because you've actually done quite a bit of conversations yourself this week. You've got a bit of research that you've done. This is something you're really very focused on, isn't it?
It is. And thanks, Sonia, for pointing that out about how we should, you know, all social isolate and to get your mental health into a good state. The first thing I want to talk about, though, if I can, is talk about actual COVID-19 by itself and some of the things that we can do around that specifically, then talk about general immune system. And they're pretty similar things, but I think lots of people don't know what coronavirus is. So corona just means it's a large family of viruses, and they're calling it a novel virus which means it's a strain we've never seen before. And that's why so many people are getting sick, because nobody has immunity to it at all. So, and it becomes like wildfire, and we can't stop it until there's been some people that are immune to it. So that's one of the reasons that it's called a novel virus. And so generally when we get a virus, we make antigens that tells our immune system, hey, we've seen this before, so next time we get it, it will, you know, pop up and say, hey, we know what to do with you. Whereas with the COVID, we don't have that. We're not having that. And so now we know a little bit more than we did last week about it. So it's spread via droplets, human to human contact, coughs or sneezes, but it's also one of the big symptoms of it through diarrhea and oral to fecal transplant. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind too. And one of the symptoms that hasn't really been touched on by the media very much is diarrhea. So some people aren't getting the fever, the cough, the shortness of breath, the breathing difficulties, and other flu-like symptoms. They're just getting diarrhea. So that's quite new. And there's other people walking around who are completely asymptomatic and not showing any signs of being sick. AKA Richard Wilkins, when he was diagnosed, he had no idea because he wasn't actually sick at the outset. And we do know a couple of other things about it too, that it hits people who have other health problems. So people that have obesity, diarrhea, cardiovascular stuff, high blood pressure and respiratory issues like asthma, COPD, which is, God, I can never remember this, cardiopulmonary disease.
Yeah.
So we know all those things as well. So those people need to take extra good care of themselves and extra good care of their immune system at this time, and to be able to keep themselves safer from coming into contact with the virus, and actually being able to fight it off with their immune system better. And I think most of us know the ways to do that around not handling cash, keeping ourselves away from people, all those, washing our hands over and over, getting control of our personal space, and not shaking hands and doing any of those sorts of things, although it's all gone to Zoom now, so that's probably not that relevant to us anymore. So they're the things that we can still do at home. That we can still do to protect ourselves. Some of the things that we can do at home though, and you and I were talking about before, make sure you are getting that social connection. Make sure you're really drilling into talking to somebody every day. And even if that's your neighbour over the fence that you're not actually having contact with, but you're making contact with them, that's a really important thing. If you can go outside, you could go for a picnic with your family, and make sure you're leaving the social distancing away from other people. I think that's really important, because we know that stress affects our gut bacteria. It actually can kill our gut bacteria. So if we are uptight, anxious, overstressed, over nervous about that, it can do us more damage than actually going out, sitting in the sun, doing all those things. So I think that's truly important.
So just do that one sentence again, which I think is really important, outside of today, outside of Corona, but stress impacts your gut bacteria.
Does. It actually kills gut bacteria.
So that's really key, because again, going back to a lot of people and their gut health, it can flare up if you're under stress. And sometimes we don't always know our stress that we're under. You know, sometimes they're hidden stresses that we haven't resolved an issue, but it's playing in the back of our mind. So sometimes they're hidden stresses as well as the normal pressure of the typical obvious stresses that we have.
Yeah, and not only that, Sonia, I think for a lot of us, we have, you know, our bodies will adapt to stress. And so for a lot of people, their bodies adapted, and they're under a huge amount of stresses. When I hear some people's stress levels, I think, holy free holy, how are you still going? And they go, oh yeah, there's not very much stress there. And you think, yes, there is. There's bucket loads of stress there. But what happens is your body adapts over time. Then one day you wake up and it just won't adapt anymore. The other thing about gut bacteria too that I'd like to add is when you have a bad gut, you will also notice that you have problems sleeping, mental health problems with anxiety and depression. And that's because when we're damaging that gut bacteria, we need that gut bacteria to produce neurotransmitters like GABA to calm us down and to help us go to sleep. We need it to produce serotonin, which makes us feel happy and excited. We need it to make dopamine. So when we're not getting all those things in our life, you know, and our gut bacteria is being killed from the stress, that really makes it difficult to make all those neurotransmitters, and then we can't, you know, it's on a chicken and egg sort of cycle. Which one came first? We don't know.
Flow-on effects, yeah, lots of flow-on effects.
Yeah, heaps.
So, audience, I'm just checking the conversation. We've actually had someone send us a little note, but I'll read that out at the end. So back to your corona, you know, you're talking about some of the symptoms and therefore some of the impacts that we're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Where you left off before, and I interrupted you with the
that's
stress
all right.
story.
So some of the things we can do, I think, that are really good for us are things that we can eat really good food, and we can take supplements. And for me, this comes down to the tenements of health more now probably than ever. So what I consider to be good health is a positive mental outlook, our resilience on life. We know, like we just talked about, that stress lowers our resilience as well, and it'll lower our immune system when we're in that constant fight or flight all the time.
Yes.
And I guess anybody who's ever listened to me for a long time knows 70% of our immune system's in our gut. So we need to get our gut right. And so that means really digging in when we're at home and taking a really good look at what you're doing for self-care. So not, you know, working outside your work times, making sure you're having downtime. And that's just not laying on the couch watching telly either. That's, you know, have a bath, read a book, go outside and sit in the sun and watch the birds, and do stuff that really nourishes your body. Lots of self-care practices, lots of play if you can. Bring that into your life, because there's one thing that we know for sure: you cannot be raising cortisol if you're laughing. Because your laughter response turns off your stress response. So
right,
yes. The longer you can be laughing, the less stress you are having. And it's a physical impossibility to be doing both at once. So that's, for me, that's a really key thing. As is this social networking. I think on an outlook of what we can do, they're the two things that I think are probably the most effective at nourishing our nervous system and keeping our immune system functioning as in resilience and positive outlook. I think that's important. So naturopathically, there's a stack of stuff we can do. Get your diet as colourful as you can. And this happens, for me, I just talk ad nauseum about this. I mean, people are sick of hearing me talk about have a rainbow coloured diet and do it every day. Make it a whole food diet. We know that diets high in sugar, and I have seen, and I'm sure you have seen, a lot of the aisles in the supermarket have been the chocolate aisle, and the lolly aisle have just been cleared out as well. So when you're in isolation and at home, eating lots of sugar is not going to be really great for your immune system, as is not eating lots of processed foods either, because again, that will
it does sadden me when you look down the supermarket aisles and what you're seeing is all the processed stuff gone.
Correct.
And you sit there and you just have to turn your head and go, there's a lot of stuff over here called vegetables.
Yeah.
And fruit that you could actually be taking in those supermarket trolleys rather than pasta and rice.
Yeah.
You know, that I know everyone has families and it's an easy thing to do, but right now, as you say, for your immune system, and for your overall health, I mean, the guys who listen to me each week are like the ones who listen to you each week.
Yeah.
We go on and on and on about the same topic, which is eat whole foods, eat plenty of veggies. And I've loved it. I've actually taken it to your story to me about I mean, I know everyone does talk about it, but it's from you that the rainbow plate that I take to my team, especially when we're on any of our challenges, to really get the colours going. And not only it goes back to that conversation about your laughter and your stress, the colour on the plate, the more colour you see, the happier your life is, because honestly, you're eating gorgeous food and it's delicious.
And